Message on reparations. So it is my understanding from my own conversation with my spirits that we should have been had reparations. And what has blocked reparations from occurring, and or not blocked, delayed, because we're still going to get it, is the additional complexities that we've introduced to reparations. So over the course of the last few years, we have essentially established organizations and groups or whatever that say that certain people should only be privy to reparations in this country. Um, we have groups like Foundational FBA and ADOS and all this other stuff. And that's fine if you want to do that, but understand it creates an additional complexity on the topic of reparations because now you want to say that one type of Black person, quote unquote, qualifies and others don't. Now we got to get into the DNA of things. That is, what type are you? And are you really connected, quote unquote, to this lineage? And are you not connected to this lineage? Where does this stop and where does this begin? This is an additional complexity that is going to require research, right? So now that we have this additional complexity and it's going to establish research, which is interesting, Sheila Jackson Lee, representative, she introduced a bill that would establish a committee to oversee the research and also take proposals on ideas in terms of how that should be established. Because if you don't take proposals on how that should be established, let me tell you how the government is going to establish it. The government, if this is left in the government's hands, then ultimately this is going to boil down to DNA, and you are going to be required to submit your DNA, just like we do in court when we have child support. You're going to be required to submit your DNA to, because that is the highest proof that they accept in terms of classification of a person. And when it comes to court cases and child support, they accept it as classification for a person who is the parent of this child. And now when it comes to this money, it's going to be accepted as classification in terms of your tie to your right, quote unquote, to this money by lineage, right? Because the end goal is to get everybody's DNA. And I'm not saying that that's bad or is good or whatever, but the end goal is to have everybody categorized, especially when it comes to the reset of the global structure, substructure, right? Because your DNA is ultimately, and DNA progress is going to jump tremendously within the next couple of years because of AI and AI's ability to classify. So there's a huge complexity that's been introduced, thus the delay. We could have went the Black people get reparations and probably gotten reparations, on the way, check in hand. But this additional complexity is going to introduce the necessity for DNA testing of every individual who is expecting or wanting a reparations check.